Welcome! You're listening to Making Relationships Work. We're a company focused on women and their marriage. We lead and teach women just like you how to grow into and access, whenever you need to, your wise woman's self. The part of you who is deeply connected to your purpose, your innate wisdom, and your husband and family. We teach women in marriages how to rebuild trust and connection, to work through conflicts, no matter how deep, no matter how painful, and to lead your marriage to a place where the two of you experience marriage mastery. This podcast is about learning the systems and techniques that truly work to reconnect you back into your marriage so that you can experience the freedom that comes with a masterful marriage. Since this podcast is totally free, if you're getting tons of value and you want to support us and make sure that you get more of this good stuff, subscribe below and rate and review our podcast today. Now, on to the show. Hello, Women Making Marriages Work. Hello, Making Relationships Work, our podcast and YouTube channel. It's really lovely to be with you here tonight. Now, my darlings, I want to talk today about breaking out of a slump, breaking out of a funk, breaking out of a really big 2020 sense of duty and overwhelm and concern for the world and all of the big issues we've been working through, not least of which is pandemic or Black Lives Matters. And so I want to talk today about how to find some more energy, to find some more sense of freedom in yourself so that we can be an ally to our friends in Black Lives Matters and also in terms of being a friend to our neighbors throughout this pandemic. And so to do that, we need energy. And I have felt, and I wonder if you have too, very much like I don't actually have that much more energy to give. There is a lot that I'm being called to show up and do, and a lot that I want to do. And I'm finding myself feeling really kind of without the internal resources to show up in the way that most suits me. And so I thought today, let's speak candidly about your life. And we know that if you're here in this group, you have marriage problems. And we know that if you're in a space of having marriage problems, then other parts of your life are also in crisis, like your children. And that kind of crisis often ripples out to other parts of your life, like work and your community. And we know that our community is going through a lot right now when we look at the pandemic and the impact that is having, when we look at the movements for Black Lives Matters, but also looking at how the police handle the way that they do their work, plus the election. Everywhere we look, there is big things. And so what we can do is manage and allow ourselves the energy to be able to bring something to each part of those things going on in the world so that we can have a visible difference. We can leave a legacy, but without sacrificing a sense of the energy that we don't have. So when we're talking about energy, what we're talking about is coming from a place of surplus, where I have energy so that I can show up and be an ambassador, be an ally, be an advocate, be a friend, be in a healthy, safe relationship with my partner so that my children also experience that. That's what we're talking about. And this kind of energy, when it comes from long-term kind of weight, not just from a marriage in crisis, not just from the global events that we're looking into, but when it comes from this sense of compression, of not enough, means that it feels like we're literally giving away calcium from our bones to feed those around us. And nothing really good happens when we're giving from a place of lack. When we're giving something we don't have energy or resources to give, we do so begrudgingly. We do so without having that innate sense of goodwill that comes from gifting generously when you have some energy, some surplus to give. And so, my friends, let's talk about that surplus. When we don't have a surplus, it's usually because our relationships or our experience in the world is one where we are depleted, where we are misunderstood, where we are not well cared for and not well attuned to, and certainly where we are not feeling like we are valuable. And so we have that. And we'll switch now to talking about marriage, but of course it fits everywhere. So when we're talking about marriage and we're not having those things, then what tends to happen is we shut ourselves off, we come further away from our partner, and we start to lose this connection. So if this is you and this is your partner and you're holding hands, as the feelings of low energy come into the marriage, this starts to separate. And I start to look after myself, and I start to look after myself. And that sense of being us against the world, that we're interconnected, that we are on each other's team, all of that starts to dissipate, and we start to protect ourselves. And what we really need right now is, in order to bring this back together, we really need the energy to be able to walk through our own pain and resentment and blame and upset and all the things, the justification we've been doing. We need to be able to walk through that and see ourselves clearly. And we need to be able to see our partner clearly, and we need to be able to see our marriage clearly. But of course, when we're separate, when we're in this downward spiral of negative emotion like shame and jealousy and rage and anger and sadness and grief and loss, when we're in that space because we're missing our friend, we have to, we feel, look after ourselves by disconnecting, and that cut comes at a cost. It comes at a cost from being with our friend and having that sense of us against the world, where we can advocate for what we need and hear and receive what that experience is like for our friend, our partner, our husband. And so energy, of course, is the denominator that allows you to come back together, because what it does do is it gives you that sense of things aren't very good right now, but I can have some influence over this. Someone with a sense of energy or some surplus, some hope, is living on kind of this side, and they are saying, I see that my friend, my husband, isn't doing so well. I see that I'm not doing so well, and I see that our shared relationship is not doing so well. I don't like that feeling. I don't like where that is. I miss my friend. I miss myself. I miss feeling like I'm in flow and I'm in energy, and I miss feeling like I know what to do. What is the next right thing I need to do in order to start to create a different experience with my partner, with my husband, with my friend? And that is somebody who's looking at their life with a bit of energy, a surplus of energy. So they're not in that downward spiral. They're kind of sort of standing here saying, this isn't the way I want it to be. And I know that I need to do something different. So where do I start to build out that understanding? And so the first place you start is my masterclass. So you can check that link out. But what you are looking to do is to find the energy to take a fresh look at the problems that you have. And so this is not about self-care, because self-care is kind of out the window. It's very early 2000s. As a concept, it's not serving you anymore. And yet it is the thing we need to do. It just needs a rebrand, and it needs a naming of the parameters of what self-care is and how it works. So let us do that, because we want self-care to bring energy and connection to self. That's our new definition of what self-care is. Something that brings energy, something that reconnects you to who you are and what you're here to do and who you're here to become. Because that's the woman on this side who is looking at her life saying, it's not the way I want it, but I'm going to figure it out, and I'm going to resourcefully show up and find the pieces of the puzzle that I'm missing, learn the things that I'm missing, grow the skills that I need to show up differently so I get a different outcome. And so energy coming from that side is growing you in a space where you are actively making the next right decision for you and your husband, partner, friend. Yes? So where do you go to get that kind of energy that you need, that allows you to feel connected to yourself and feel like you have a surplus to get into a space where you are looking at your life and able to see what needs to be changed. Well, they are the things that the early 2000s talked about. That's true. So your exercise, you're getting your body moving, your ability to rest when you need to rest, to listen to what your body needs and do it. One of the best things that I have been learning about recently is this idea that you can trust your body. And if you want to take your body to a gym, which you might not right now with COVID, but if you wanted to theoretically do that, and you could, and it was safe to do so, you're doing it, if you're doing it from a place of, I need to get my body fit, I'm going to the gym, that is not connected to what your body wants to do. That is connected to what you think is the next right thing. So the difference here is, what does it feel like to do the next right thing if I tune into my body and ask it? Does my body want to go to the gym and lift weights right now? Not really. What does my body want to do? My body wants to go on a walk with some elements of running where I get to see beauty in nature. Still meets the requirements of what self-care is in terms of moving your body and getting those endorphins going. Still meets the requirements of what your head thinks is a good idea in terms of strength and fitness for a body, which is important. But what it does do that's different is you're tuning into what your body and you want to do and honoring the truth of that need. And that subtlety is the whole definitional change I want to make to self-care. Because you are tuning into what you want to do and you are honoring that request and knowing that what your body wants is the next right thing. Because your body doesn't really want to not move. Your body loves moving and stretching. Your body loves getting out into nature. Your body loves having its shoes off, walking on the grass in bare feet. Bodies love that. If you're getting a message somewhere inside of you that says, that's not what mine wants to watch Netflix for a while and just kind of zone out, that's okay too. Go zone out. And then when you finish doing that, check back in. What does the body want to do now? What do I want to do now? And what we're always looking for is, how do I know what I need? And how do I meet those needs? Because when I do that, I live on this side where I'm looking at my life going, there are things here that don't work. And I'm contributing to that. And so is my husband. And what we've got is this mess of a marriage. But when we're coming at it from this other side of, if you would change, I don't like the way you're showing up, I don't like the way you're talking to me right now, I just wish that if this would happen and this would happen, then we would be all right. And how could you do that? How could you not do that? That, my friends, is coming from a lack of energy, a deficit of energy. And that is coming from a space of the old ways that you argue, and it is creating more and more resentment, more and more buildup, more and more grime that will need to be cleaned at some point. Yes? And so we've got these two different ways that you can show up. And what I want for you is to get out of the habit of being in this way and come into building a habit of noticing what you need, bringing energy to that space, and then looking at your life and saying, let's design this a different way. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to make a commitment today that it's time to get some energy for yourself that allows you to have a surplus. It allows you to tune into what you want. It honors what you need. It shows up in that way. And you know that it's going to take you 30 days to build this new habit in. So you're just going to give yourself the grace of 30 days of honoring yourself. That's what you're going to do. And from that vantage point of having some energy and a surplus of energy, you're going to look across at your marriage and say, here's what I want to do differently. And maybe we can now extend this back out to the way we started, which is being an ally to the Black community or people of color, or looking at how you can show up and do the work you need to do from a political point of view, like registering to vote. Maybe you can look at it in terms of how you can support your community through this pandemic. Maybe you can look at it in terms of how you can support your children or your family of origin or the community around you more broadly. Whatever it is, You don't want to do it from a place of this downward low sense of, I have to give you something I don't have. That's not going to serve you. What we need to give you is energy to be able to show up and add value through advocacy, through connection, through kindness, through a willingness to grow and understand. But the first place you need to start with is filling yourself up so that you have something to give to the people that are important to you. And so, my loves, if it is useful, I'll pop in the masterclass link for you. That's going to give you skills to show up in your marriage differently. But the energy you need is the one that's up here. Otherwise, you'll watch that skills video and you'll be all like, yeah, that was pretty good, which it is. That was pretty good. But you're not going to do anything with it because you're tired. So get your energy moving. Commit to living over here. And then let's take some inspired action. And I'm here for you if you want to take inspired action in your marriage. All right, dear ones, lovely to talk to you today, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye, loves. Thank you for tuning into today's show. If you're feeling fired up and you're ready to grow and you want to know more about how to do that, here is what I want you to do now. I want you to watch my marriage masterclass. This masterclass will show you how my clients have turned their struggling marriages into thriving marriages, even without their husband's buy-in. How my clients have gone from cycles of poor communication, disconnect and loneliness to being teammates and soulmates with their husbands again, even after they've already tried everything. And the proven system my clients use to start transforming their marriages in minutes, not years, because life is too precious to waste one more minute in an unhappy and unfulfilling marriage. So if this is what you're looking for, I want you to click the link below and take a look at my masterclass.